Hey guys, and welcome back to For I Have Sinned. My name is Jess,
And this is Lauren.
and we are back with episode. Oh shoot, I didn't even look. Is it
25. Yeah.
every week? Yeah. So today it is my turn, and this might actually be a two-parter,
Yay.
which is a first for me,
Yeah.
not for Lauren. Uh, no, but we'll see how it goes because I do have a lot here. Um, but before we start, I just wanted to mention that on Facebook, we made a group it's called For I Have Sinned Podcast Official Dash The Sinner's Circle. So basically, it's just, we have our page, but with the group, we can, communicate with people who listen to us, get some insight, get some insight.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Input. There you go. Holy shit. I'm tired.
It's
Um,
okay.
yeah, so join that because it's a grand old time. I mean, we just started it, so there's nothing exciting yet, but it will be. And yeah, don't forget we're on YouTube and we're on Patreon. So get involved.
Come find us.
And Lauren's going to give us an update on someone too.
Yes. So after I had finished the series on the Golden State Killer, Joseph D'Angelo, he hadn't yet been sentenced. He did plea. So he pled guilty to 13 murders and over 50 rapes, even though he couldn't be charged with the rapes because it was past the statute of limitations. He actually still ended up pleading guilty. And when he was sentenced, all he could say was that he was truly sorry. Before he actually was handed the sentence on August 21st, 2020. And, of course, he got life without the possibility of parole, which he's 74 years old. And I know I mentioned this before, but he does this like frail, weak old man thing where he's like, getting carted around in a wheelchair, and he just tries to make himself look. But there's actual footage of him like climbing on the desk in his cell, like hanging things on the wall. So he's a motherfucker still. I don't care how old he is. He's a fucking bastard.
Yeah.
And it was, kind of like a cathartic thing in a way because the victims and the victims' families and stuff were allowed to read impact statements. One of the victims like flipped him off from the stand, which I think is fucking great.
That's what I was
Okay.
Thank you. That's what it was.
Yeah. Which I love that. Like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he absolutely deserves that. And
Yeah.
something else that was interesting, his ex-wife, Sharon Huddle, uh, actually read a statement, and she's been pretty much completely silent about the whole thing. And she, if you'll remember, was married to him pretty much up until he was arrested. Like they split up, but they never got officially divorced until he was arrested. And she read a statement, and she said that his actions have had a devastating and pervasive effect on her life. She said, "I will never be the same person. I now live every day with the knowledge of how he attacked and severely damaged hundreds of innocent people's lives and murdered 13 innocent people who were loved and have now been missed for 40 years or more." And she never calls him by his name. She only refers to him as the defendant. She said, yeah, she was pretty, I mean, rightfully so, very hurt by it. She said, "I have lost the ability to trust people. I trusted the defendant when he told me he had to work or was going pheasant hunting or was going to visit his parents hundreds of miles away. When I was not around, I trusted he was doing what he told me he was doing." So just, a little bit of closure. I'm sure these people still have a lot to work through, but it's kind of a little follow-up for that case.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm glad that she, read all that and
Absolutely
all that. I mean, yeah, that's got, I can't even imagine like my husband doing that. And I have no idea for so many years.
right.
It's like BTK also.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely insane. You have kids and everything. It's just insane.
How?
Right.
Make it make sense.
Right.
All right. So Today, I'm covering someone that, well, you've probably heard of this case. A lot of people have heard of this case. But the reason I'm covering this is, well, actually, two reasons. One, I've just always wanted to. And two, Morgan, one of our patrons, she's in the tier that she's in, she's able to pick 3 cases that we cover.
Nice.
So she asked me to do this one.
Awesome.
And I was going to tell you, but I kind of wanted to keep it a secret.
No, I love that.
Okay. Yeah. So Morgan, thank you for reminding me to do this one. I would have gotten there eventually, but yeah.
Yay,
So
thanks,
this
Morgan.
is, yeah, thanks, Morgan. So this is about the torture and murder of Sylvia Likens.
I don't think I know this one.
Shut up.
I don't think I do.
You might.
Okay.
If I, yeah, whatever.
Okay,
Anyway.
we'll see.
Okay, so Sylvia Marie Likens was born in Indiana on June 3rd, 1949. She was the third of 5 children, and she was born to carnival workers Lester Likens and Betty Likens. She was born between 2 sets of fraternal twins, which, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Damn.
I could not handle that. You have a set of twins, you have a kid, and then you have another set of twins. I mean, no wonder they were carnival workers.
Right. You know? Had a whole litter.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's not even that it's the amount of kids, it's that there's 2 sets of twins.
Yeah. Right. You have like 2 newborns and then 2 like toddlers.
Yeah.
And then one in between. Jesus.
Yes. Okay. So anyway, she had a younger sister, Jenny, who was one of the twins. She suffered from polio, which caused one of her legs to be very weak. And I'm just going to take this moment to say thank you, vaccinations.
Right.
Yeah. So she had a limp and she had to wear a steel brace on one leg. And the Likens moved around frequently because, you know, they were working at carnival stands around Indiana during the summers. So the family often experienced financial difficulties. Sylvia would earn spending money by babysitting, running errands, or general household chores for neighbors. Sylvia was described as a friendly, confident, and lively girl and was known as Cookie to her friends, which I think that's so cute.
It is.
She always kept her mouth closed when she was smiling because she was a little self-conscious she was missing a front tooth. Not sure if it was the top or the bottom, but she was missing a tooth that she lost when she was younger from an accident with her brother. I think they were playing around and somehow her tooth got knocked out. She was also very protective of her younger sister, Jenny. On July 3rd, 1965, Sylvia's mother, Betty, was arrested and jailed for shoplifting. Not long after, Lester Likens arranged for his daughters to board with Gertrude Banishevsky. Gertrude was born in 1928 in Indianapolis, Indiana. She dropped out of high school at age 16 to marry 18-year-old John Banishevsky, and they had 4 children. They divorced after 10 years. Gertrude married a man named Edward Guthrie, which only lasted for about 3 months. Then she remarried her first husband and had 2 more children, and they divorced again in 1963. Weeks after this, she began a relationship with Dennis Lee Wright, who was only 22 years old.
Oh.
Yeah. And she had a child with him, but he then abandoned them shortly after the birth. He was also abusive, I believe. So Gertrude lived with her 7 children. There was Paula, who was 17, Stephanie, she was 15, John, 12, well, John Jr., 12, Marie, 11, Shirley, 10, James, 8, and Dennis Jr., 1. At 36, she weighed only 100 pounds and was described as a haggard, underweight asthmatic, chain smoker.
Jeez.
Yeah. She was suffering from depression due to her failed marriages and a recent miscarriage. So Sylvia and Jenny became acquainted with Paula and Stephanie Banishevsky while at school when their father made, and then after that, their father made their boarding arrangements with Gertrude. She assured him that she would care for them as if they were her own children.
So she's got 7 kids and she just took on 5 more.
Only the girls.
Okay, only the
Jenny
girl.
and Sylvia.
Okay.
Sylvia
Okay.
and Jenny, yeah.
Okay, but
Still, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess obviously she needed the money maybe.
Yeah, sure.
So after July 4th, the girls moved into the Banishevsky's house, which was at 3850 East New York Street, and Gertrude was to receive $20 a week in boarding fees from Lester until they returned in November of that year. I mean, $20 a week, I feel like even for the time, that's like not shit.
No.
To take care of 2 kids,
Right,
to
on top
have
of
kids live with you, like, yeah, I don't know. So for the first few weeks of living there, the Likens girls had a good time living at the Banishevskys. They got along with all the kids. But eventually, the checks sent from Lester Likens began to arrive a day or two late. And Gertrude began venting her frustration upon the sisters by beating their bare buttocks with various instruments, such as a 1/4-inch thick paddle, while making statements such as, "I took care of you 2 little bitches for a week for nothing." In late August, there was one occasion where both girls were beaten approximately 15 times on the back with the paddle, and that was after Paula accused them of eating too much food at a church supper.
Wow.
Now remember, Paula's the oldest. There's a lot. There's a lot of names in this. So Gertrude then started to focus her abuse almost completely upon Sylvia, probably because she was jealous of her physical appearance and her potential in life. She was beaten and was refused food, which would gradually lead Sylvia to eat spoiled food that she picked from the garbage.
Poor baby.
I know. On one occasion, she was accused of stealing candy, which she actually did purchase, and Gertrude kicked her in the genitals for that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Now, Paula, who was then overweight because she was a few months pregnant and jealous of Sylvia too, started to, I mean, that's so stupid, but I guess apparently that's why she was jealous of her. So she started to take part in abusing Sylvia. One night, as the family ate supper, Gertrude, Paula, and a neighborhood boy named Randy Lepper force-fed Sylvia a hot dog overloaded with condiments. Sylvia vomited as a result and was forced to eat what she regurgitated.
Oh no.
Yeah. Sylvia's only act of retaliation was spreading a rumor at school that Paula and Stephanie Banishevsky were sex workers. She was questioned about the rumors at home and admitted to starting them as she felt guilty. Stephanie punched her. When Coy Hubbard, who was Stephanie's boyfriend, found out about the rumors, he brutally attacked Sylvia by slapping her, banging her head against the wall, and flipping her backwards onto the floor. Gertrude then beat Sylvia with the paddle. Yeah. It gets so much worse.
Oh no.
Yeah. On another occasion, Paula beat Sylvia's face with such force that she broke her own wrist on her jaw. She later used her cast to further beat Sylvia.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Gertrude regularly accused Sylvia of engaging in prostitution. She also forced Jenny Likens to hit her own sister, threatening to beat Jenny if she did not comply. Coy Hubbard, again, that was Stephanie's boyfriend. Coy Hubbard and several classmates would visit the Banishevskys often to participate in verbally and physically tormenting Sylvia. With Gertrude's encouragement, these kids would beat Sylvia, using her as a practice dummy in violent judo lessons, lacerating her body, burning her with lit cigarettes in excess of 100 times, and severely injuring her genitals. To entertain Gertrude and her teenage accomplices, Sylvia was once forced to strip naked in the living room and force an empty Coke bottle into her vagina.
Oh God.
Yeah. Gertrude forbade Sylvia from going to school after she admitted to stealing a gym suit from the school after Gertrude refused to get it for her. Sylvia was whipped with a 3-inch wide police belt and repeatedly kicked in the genitals. Stephanie actually came to Sylvia's defense, shouting she didn't do anything. Gertrude then burned Sylvia's fingertips with matches. Yeah. Now, both girls were afraid to tell family members or adults at school about the abuse because they just thought it would make their situation worse. Gertrude threatened Jenny that she would be tortured to the same degree as her sister if she told anyone. Lester and Elizabeth Likens would occasionally return to Indianapolis to visit their daughters. This was in July and August, just, a couple of times. I think the last time they saw them was late August. Neither girl seemed distressed when they were visiting with their parents, likely because they were always in the presence of Gertrude or her children. In September, they did try to tell their sister Diana at a park, but never gave her the address they were staying at. Diana also thought that they were exaggerating.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. That pisses me off. Weeks prior to seeing her, they saw Diana at the same park while they were with 11-year-old Marie Banashevsky. Diana gave Sylvia a sandwich to eat after she told her she was hungry. And later on, Marie told Gertrude, and Paula choked and bludgeoned her.
Oh my God, for eating a sandwich.
Mm-hmm. She was then thrown into a scalding hot bath to cleanse her of her sins. Yeah. Gertrude grabbed Sylvia's hair and repeatedly banged her head against the tub to revive her after she had fainted. Yeah. Not long after this, a neighbor named Michael John Monroe called the school and anonymously reported that a girl with open sores across her entire body was living at the Banashevsky's house. Sylvia had not attended school for several days, so a nurse visited 3850 East New York Street to investigate. Gertrude told the nurse that Sylvia had run away and was unaware of her actual whereabouts, adding that she was out of control and that the sores were probably a result of Sylvia's refusal to maintain personal hygiene. Yeah. The school made no further investigations.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. I mean, I know, again, this is like the 60s, but wouldn't you try to get in touch with the girl's parents?
They just didn't question anything. They weren't like, oh, well, you're not her actual mother. Like,
yeah. Yeah. And even if they did believe her, why wouldn't they still try and somehow get in touch with her parents and say, hey, this woman says your daughter ran away and she's got sores all over her body.
Issues. Right.
So, yeah. The Banashevsky's next door neighbors, a middle-aged couple named Raymond and Phyllis Vermillion, initially thought Gertrude as an ideal caregiver, but on 2 occasions they witnessed Paula physically abuse Sylvia, who had a black eye both times. On the second occasion, they said Sylvia was extremely meek and somewhat zombified, quote unquote, in nature. They never reported any of this to authorities. On or around October 1st, older sister Diana visited the Banashevskys after finding out the address. Gertrude would not let her in, claiming their parents said she was not to let them see Diana. Which, why?
Yeah.
About 2 weeks later, Diana coincidentally ran into Jenny and asked about Sylvia, and Jenny told her, I can't tell you or I'll get in trouble. I mean, go to the fucking cops.
Right.
You're her sister.
Right.
Not Jenny, the Diana. The abuse and brutality continued to escalate. I almost said escalate. Jeez. Sylvia gradually became incontinent. She was not allowed to use the bathroom, and she was forced to wet herself. As punishment for wetting herself, on October 6th, Gertrude threw Sylvia into the basement and tied her up. She was often kept naked, rarely fed, and denied water. Sometimes she was tied to the railing of the stairs with her feet barely touching the ground. Neighborhood children were also charged 5 cents to see the display of Sylvia's body and to humiliate, beat, scald, burn, and mutilate her.
What?
Yeah. Gertrude would also frequently put Sylvia in a scalding hot bathtub before rubbing salt into her wounds. A cloth gag would be placed in her mouth to muffle her screams. I should have done a trigger warning, but we'll write it in the description.
Yeah.
Gertrude and her son, John Jr., took the youngest son's soiled diaper and rubbed urine and feces in Sylvia's face. Gertrude eventually let Sylvia sleep upstairs again if she promised not to wet the bed, but Jenny snuck her a glass of water and she did wet herself. As punishment, Gertrude forced her to shove this was the cola bottle. As punishment, Gertrude forced her to shove an empty cola bottle into her vagina in front of the children, and then she was sent back to the basement.
She probably became incontinent from being kicked in the genitals so often, too.
And I'm sure, lack of water and kidney
severe
damage,
malnutrition, dehydration.
Yeah. Plus I'm sure she was kicked in that area.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many incidences already where you said, oh yeah, she kicked her multiple times in the genitals. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So on October 23rd, Gertrude ordered Sylvia to strip naked before carving the words before beginning to carve the words "I am a prostitute and proud of it" onto her abdomen with a heated needle. She was unable to finish and instructed a neighbor, 14-year-old Richard Hobbs, to finish, and he did.
Oh my God.
Yeah. The next day, Gertrude forced Sylvia to write a letter to her parents claiming that she ran away. She was planning on using this to frame a group of local boys for the abuse. Sylvia was again tied to the stair railing. She did attempt to escape from the basement after hearing Gertrude tell John Jr. about her plan, and she was going to abandon her in the woods to die. So she attempted to flee through the front door, but Gertrude caught her easily as she was so weak, and she was beaten and thrown back into the basement. Later that night, Sylvia tried to alert neighbors by screaming for help. And she was also, I'm not sure if it was like a pot or she was banging against the walls just to get somebody's attention.
Yeah.
One neighbor did hear her screams, but they stopped suddenly at 3:00 in the morning and she decided not to inform the police.
I mean, she's probably fine.
Yeah, right. By the morning of October 26th, Sylvia was unable to speak intelligibly or correctly coordinate the movement of her limbs. She became delirious, repeatedly moaning and mumbling. After she defecated herself, Paula ordered her to clean herself up. That afternoon, several of her tormentors gathered in the basement to watch her. John Jr. attempted to clean her by spraying her with a hose while laughing. She tried to escape again, but collapsed before she could reach the stairs. Gertrude stomped on her head in response. Stephanie Banashevsky tried to give Sylvia a warm bath, but she stopped breathing before she was even carried out of the basement. Stephanie attempted mouth-to-mouth resuscitation while Gertrude shouted that Sylvia was faking it. She hit Sylvia with a book to rouse her, then panicking, had Richard Hobbs call the police from a payphone. They arrived at 6:30 p.m. and Gertrude led them to one of the bedrooms where Sylvia's emaciated and mutilated body was lying on a soiled mattress. She then handed them the letter that she forced Sylvia to write and claimed she had been doctoring her wounds for over an hour. She told the police that Sylvia had run away with several teenage boys and returned to the house that afternoon, topless and holding the note. Jenny told the police the rehearsed version of events that Gertrude made her say, but then whispered to them, "If you get me out of here, I'll tell you everything."
Oh, wow.
Yeah. This might not be a two-parter. After her formal statement, officers arrested Gertrude, Paula, Stephanie, and John Jr. within hours of seeing Sylvia's body. Coy Hubbard and Richard Hobbs were also arrested and charged the same day. The three eldest Banashevsky children and Coy were held in a juvenile detention center. The youngest and Richard were detained at the Indianapolis Children's Guardians Home. Everyone was held without bail pending trial. Gertrude initially denied any involvement in Sylvia's death, putting the blame on others. She said Paula, her daughter, did most of the damage and Coy did a lot of the beating. So she's blaming this on her children and their friends.
Yeah, of course.
With no remorse, Paula signed a statement admitting that she beat Sylvia with her mother's police belt, breaking her wrist on Sylvia's jaw, pushing her down the stairs and giving her a black eye. John Jr. admitted to spanking Sylvia on one occasion and burning Sylvia with matches. He said his mother had repeatedly burned her with cigarettes. 5 other children from the neighborhood who participated in the abuse were also arrested by October 29th. They were charged with causing injury to person and were released to their parents under subpoena to appear as witnesses at the trial. Now, the trial began on April 18th, 1966, before Judge Rabb at Indianapolis City County Building. The prosecution announced that they intended to seek the death penalty for all 5 descendants, Gertrude, Paula, John Jr., Richard Hobbs, and Coy Hubbard. Paula and John Jr. claimed they were pressured to torture and abuse Sylvia by their mother, and Gertrude pled not guilty by reason of insanity.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Deputy Coroner Charles Ellis testified that Sylvia's nails were broken backwards. She had numerous deep cuts, and her lips were essentially in shreds due to her biting and chewing on them.
Oh.
I know. Ellis further testified that Sylvia had been in acute shock for 2 to 3 days prior to her death, and she may have been in too much of an advanced state of shock to offer much resistance to any abuse in her final hours. He said that aside from extensive swelling around her genitalia, Sylvia's body bore no evidence of sexual molestation. I guess it was just they were kicking her there.
Yeah, I mean, it's different, right? Like, what the fuck?
I know. Jenny testified on May 2nd and 3rd against all 5 defendants that each had repeatedly and extensively physically and emotionally abused Sylvia, and that she'd done nothing wrong to provoke the assaults. Gertrude testified in her own defense, denying any responsibility and claiming her children and neighborhood kids must have committed the acts with her in her home, which she described as being such a madhouse.
I just didn't realize this was all going on.
Yeah.
What a fucking
such a
bitch.
madhouse because of you.
Right. Right.
Richard Hobbs testified in his own defense, describing how on October 23rd, Gertrude had begun etching the insult into Sylvia's, you remember the, I'm a prostitute and I'm proud of it. She began etching that into Sylvia's abdomen before asking him to finish. Marie Banashevsky, who's the 11-year-old, broke down on the stand and stated that her mother and sister most often abused Sylvia. On May 16th, a court-appointed doctor named Dwight Schuster testified on behalf, I like that name, on behalf of the prosecution. He stated that after interviewing the uncooperative Gertrude, he believed she was sane and fully in control of her actions. He made it clear that Gertrude was not and had never been psychotic.
Okay, Dwight Schuster, thank you.
Yes. Deputy Prosecutor Marjorie Wessner delivered the state's closing argument. She described her abuse as stomach-wrenching and compared her treatment as being equivalent in severity to that committed against prisoners in Nazi concentration camps.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. The trial lasted 17 days before the jury considered its verdict. On May 19th, 1966, they deliberated for 8 hours. Gertrude was found guilty of first-degree murder, Paula of second-degree murder, and Hobbs and Hubbard and John Jr. of manslaughter. And now, after they heard the verdict, like the family, the Banashevskys all cried and consoled each other. And it's like, you were just blaming each other.
Right.
And you did like such a horrible thing to this poor girl. And now you're
And now you're upset? Like,
yeah, because you're going to jail? Come on. Whatever. Hobbs, Hubbard, and John Jr. each were... Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped a part. On May 25th, Gertrude and Paula were sentenced to life. Hobbs, Hubbard, and John Jr. each were sentenced to 2 to 21 years to be served at the Indiana Reformatory. That's such a weird sentence, like 2 to 21 years.
Yeah, that's because it was manslaughter, I think.
Yeah, I guess so. But I don't know if I've ever heard that before.
No, it's a very weird range.
Yeah. In September of 1970, Gertrude and Paula were actually permitted a retrial due to Judge Saul Isaac Rabb having denied submitted motions by their defense counsel for both a change of venue and separate trials. So they were retried in 1971. Paula opted to plead guilty to voluntary manslaughter rather than face a retrial and was sentenced to serve between 2 to 20 years. She tried to escape twice in 1971, and despite this, she was released in December 1972.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. Gertrude was again convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Over the following 14 years, Gertrude became known as a model prisoner at the Indiana Women's Prison. She became sort of a den mother, and many of the younger female prisoners called her mom.
Ugh.
I mean, I don't have words.
It's just sickening.
Yeah. I mean, did they not know what she did? Did they just not care because they did equally as fucked up shit? Like,
right, or worse.
yeah.
Yeah.
So she was paroled in 1985 and changed her name to Nadine Van Fossen and described herself as a devout Christian.
Oh, of course.
So she only did 14 years. She relocated to Iowa and never accepted full responsibility for Sylvia's torment and death. She blamed her actions on the medicine she took for asthma, which makes total sense.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. She died on June 16th, 1990 of lung cancer at 61 years old. So,
good riddance.
Yeah. Hobbs, Hubbard, and John Jr. all served less than 2 years. Hobbs died of lung cancer at the
Wow.
age of 21.
Holy shit.
Yeah. He had at least one nervous breakdown in the 4 years between his release and death. Which, fine, good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hubbard was repeatedly imprisoned throughout his adult life, and he died of a heart attack in 2007 at the age of 56.
Wow.
They're all dying pretty young.
Good.
Yeah. John Jr. became a lay minister under the alias John Blake. Decades after his release, he issued a statement acknowledging the fact that he and his co-defendants should have been sentenced to a more severe term of punishment. He died in 2005 at the age of 52 from diabetes.
Damn.
Yeah. Sylvia's autopsy revealed she had suffered in excess of 150 wounds across her entire body, in addition to being extremely emaciated at the time of her death. Her injuries included burns, severe bruising, and extensive muscle nerve damage. Her vaginal cavity was almost swollen shut, though her hymen was intact. Her fingernails were broken backwards. Most of the external layers of skin upon her face, breasts, neck, and right knee had peeled or receded.
What the fuck?
And she was only 16 years old.
Ugh.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Paula, I didn't write this down because whatever, but Paula ended up, I think she relocated to Iowa too, and believe she ended up getting married and having kids. And I think she became a school teacher, and she was fired because there are actually 2 movies made about this case. One is called An American Crime or An American Murder. It's got Ellen Page in it.
Okay.
That's her name, right? That plays Juno.
Yeah.
Page. She plays Sylvia. And there are some other people in there that you'd recognize. Catherine Keener, I want to say. She plays Gertrude. I think James Franco's in it. I saw it a long time ago. It's pretty good. But when that came out, she got, I believe she was fired, and also Coy Hubbard was fired from his job after that came out. There's another movie which is actually based on a book written loosely based on this case. It's called The Girl Next Door. I think the book is by Jack Ketchum. I read it. It was good.
Let's see.
But yeah, so The Girl Next Door, lesser known actors, but way more intense than the other movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other one is called An American Crime.
Yeah, An American Crime. It was pretty good. They do some weird twist thing with it that's kind of stupid, but
oh,
I mean, not really. I'm not going to give it away if anybody wants to watch it, but it's still pretty decent. And the other one is really good too. It's just way more intense, and it's not, it's different names, but it's based on this case.
Oh, but they just changed their
Yeah, they
names.
changed the name. They
Okay,
changed all the
okay.
details. Stuff like
Sure.
that. But yeah, that one is, for some people, that one might be hard to watch. So yeah,
Oh shit, I just looked up I found a picture of the mom, Gertrude.
insane looking, right?
She looks like
She looks evil.
she looks like the fucking crypt keeper, bro.
Yeah, she does. She
What?
reminds me of one of the Disney villains. I can't think of who it is. I can't think of who it is, but somebody with like with sunken
Like
in cheek.
Maleficent almost.
Maleficent, but Maleficent was also beautiful, or kind of supposed to be, right?
Let's see.
Well, I mean, they did have Angelina Jolie play her.
Yeah, I'm thinking like the cartoon Maleficent because I think
Yeah, I
she has those like really sharp jawbones.
yeah,
And Gertrude has that. No, I don't know who the fuck she looks like, but she's ugh.
she just looks gross.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, you know who she kind of looks like? Cruella de Vil.
Yes, yes, yes,
Right?
but still like much uglier,
Yeah,
much worse. Yeah. So I knew it. I was like, she looks like a Disney villain, but I can't think of who. Somebody with sunken
definitely.
cheekbones.
Definitely.
I mean, sunken in cheeks, not sunken in cheekbones. God, I'm tired. Um, yeah. So I'm surprised. I'm honestly shocked that you have not heard of this, Lauren.
No,
I for sure thought that you would know this.
no, I don't know how I don't know it.
I mean, I guess it's not like super popular. Not I don't mean popular, super known, but I just feel like in different groups and stuff and on podcasts I've heard a lot of people covering it or talking about it. So yeah. Uh, I mean, that reminds me of, like, in a way, Junko Furuta.
Yes.
Um although I think this went on much longer. Uh and who else did we just cover that was tortured? There was somebody else that we just covered, wasn't there? Maybe not. God, my memory shot.
Some pictures of like her, like there's a photo of her stomach where it's like you can
Yep.
see it's like scratched into her stomach. I'm a
Yep.
prostitute, proud of it.
Yeah.
It's
And then
fucking
there was
crazy.
also like they tried to
Is
is
it
it
a
called
number three?
yes, but well, it was
Yeah.
supposed to be a B
Oh.
and it ended up looking like a 3. I don't remember. Maybe like they were going to put bitch or something. I don't know. But is that called branding? Yeah, when you brand
Yeah, when they
comics.
burn them.
Yeah, so yeah,
Yeah.
that's what they did. And I'm not sure what she did it with, or what they did it with. But yeah, she God, I mean, I don't even know how she lasted that long. I guess,
Seriously.
I mean, she had been thrown down the stairs like a lot. She'd been beaten, about the head a lot. She'd been like kicked. I'm sure she had internal bleeding, you know? I mean, she had
Yeah,
to,
she had to have.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And also, oh, there was another thing I forgot to say. A few days, or maybe it was like no, it was a few days before her death, she said to Jenny, I know you don't want me to die, but I'm gonna die.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. It's so incredibly sad, so incredibly horrific. And the fact that they got out so fast,
Insane.
especially Gertrude. I mean, yeah, she served longer than the rest of them, but 14 years?
She was the fucking ringleader.
Yeah. And I mean, all the witnesses blame, I mean, of course, she blamed her children blamed her, but Jenny claimed, testified that she was, you know, giving the abuse, giving her, oh my God, I can't speak. She was like doling out most of the abuse along with
Right.
Paula, which that makes me mad too, that she got out in a year later after her
Yeah.
retrial, after trying to escape twice.
Yeah.
That makes absolutely no sense to me
Ugh.
whatsoever.
Oh, apparently the house was demolished in
Yes.
2009.
Yes, I was going to say that too.
Wow.
Yeah. But watch, I mean, I don't know. Are you a reader, Lauren?
Yeah.
Okay. Read the book, The Girl Next Door. I think
Okay.
it's by Jack Ketchum. Do I have it right behind me? I'm not going to look. There's too many books there.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, The Girl Next Door, I believe it's Jack Ketchum, and then the movie The Girl Next Door and An American Crime. An American Crime actually might be on Amazon Prime, and The Girl Next Door might be also. I know
I'm
that
gonna.
I bought it a while back,
Okay.
so I have
Yeah,
it on
Jack
Amazon.
Ketchum. Yeah, you're correct.
Yeah.
Yep. Wow. What the hell? I really don't know how I have never heard of this.
Well, I mean, I kind of feel that way with like the Golden State Killer.
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, I'd heard of it. I'd heard of him, but I never knew much about it at all. Because and I
Yeah.
remember another time, and I think I said this on uh, our episode where we covered that, or one of the episodes where we covered him. I think I said that a friend of mine told me to read Michelle McNamara's book, "I'll Be Gone in the Dark," and I was like, I'm not interested. I like confused it with one of the freeway killers that was,
Oh, right.
I
In
don't know.
California.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I think he was killing like I think he was gay and he was killing men or something that were hitchhiking. Wow, somebody put me to sleep right now, please.
Hi,
Holy,
Chicky.
I have never, I have never like, oh my God, that's embarrassing. But hey, whatever.
We're leaving it.
Hitchhiking.
Hi,
That
Chicky.
wow, that's crazy. Yeah. Anyway, hitchhiking. Um, William Bonin or Randy Kraft or something like that. I don't know, but it just I think I saw one of those stupid movies, one of those really poorly acted movies.
Hi,
What's up with
sorry.
your microphone?
Dropped it. Sorry.
Oh,
So Derek moved. I told you Derek moved all of my stuff. So it used to be on my left hand side, and now everything's on my right hand side, and it's got me all fucked up. Yeah, sorry.
that's so funny that you dropped your microphone and it really didn't make that much of a sound. But I like move my microphone in like a centimeter, and you're like,
It's
oh,
like,
I hear, yeah.
yeah.
Maybe I need one of those. What's the thing called?
Oh, the foam covers.
Yeah, maybe I
Yeah,
need that.
pop filter, I think it's
Pop
called.
filter. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what it is. Maybe I need one of those. Whatever. Anyway, that was mine. Sylvia Likens,
Oh,
may
so
she rest in
sad.
peace. I mean, poor kid.
The fuck? And she was
Yeah,
so cute.
I know she was so cute, and apparently just a nice kid. A good, sweet kid. And yeah, I mean, to actually do this to someone because you're jealous of their appearance and their potential in life.
Right.
I mean, yeah, obviously there was some personality disorder there,
Oh,
but
totally.
I mean, still, guilty. Fuck me. Guilty by reason of insanity. I cannot speak. What is wrong with me? I'm so
So
tired.
hard. It's okay.
I know. Um, yeah. Guilty by reason of insanity. Like, come on.
They knew what they were doing, whether they were mentally ill or not. They knew what they were doing, and that I think that's what people don't understand when you try to plead insanity. Like,
Yeah.
that's the difference. If you're going to try to plead guilty by reason of insanity, that means that you literally didn't know what you were doing because you were so mentally
Right.
ill or not there. But I mean, this was fucking calculated and went on for so
Yeah.
long.
And she made money from it too.
Oh yeah, charged the kids
she
in the
charged the
neighborhood.
kids.
So
Yeah.
fucking sick.
I mean, it's disgusting. And yeah, like guilty by reason of insanity would be, again, I'm going to bring him up, like Vince Lee.
Sure.
Although he should be, put away for life. A hospital, sure.
Yeah.
Still, that's guilty by reason of insanity.
Yes, full on schizophrenic hallucinations. Yeah. You don't know what's real, what's not. Yes, that, right. And that was one incident. That, right. That definitely. I mean, you can't try to fucking plead insanity when it was going on for how long? Months and months.
I know. And that isn't didn't it come out, and I probably asked you this again, but my memory is shot. I mean, I probably asked you this before. Wow, I'm fucking up today. Didn't David Berkowitz try to plead guilty by insanity, not guilty by reason of insanity?
That was Son of Sam?
Yeah, but like he didn't get it, obviously. But then didn't he admit later that he made all that stuff up, like the dog was talking to him and stuff like that? Yeah. It's so funny.
Yeah.
It's not funny what he did. It's just funny
that you think you're so fucking smart and you're gonna get away with it. Like, no, you're actually a dumbass.
Yeah. Or like, what's his name? Richard Trenton Chase. That could be. I don't think he got not guilty by reason of insanity, if I remember correctly. But I mean, I could see him getting that.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, not repeatedly doing this and charging for it for other kids to watch and participate. Which, by the way, what the fuck were these kids doing?
I mean, people can talk shit all they want about like video games and watching television, but I'd rather have my kid playing a fucking video game than paying money to go torture some poor girl in a basement. Are you fucking kidding me?
In a second, yeah. Yeah. Ugh. I mean, yes, in rare cases there are, video games that inspire some of these kids, like obviously what's the kid's name? Was it Dylan Klebold? No, they didn't. I don't think they were like video gamers. I don't know. I know that there was definitely a case where the kid was inspired by playing like Call of Duty or something like that.
Oh, sure. I mean, it's gonna happen. Or even like the girls that were inspired by the fucking Slender Man. There's a Slender Man game, but that's not, I mean, to me, that's somebody that they're gonna find any little thing that they could have latched onto and fucking use it as an excuse.
Yeah, but there was already a screw loose, but that kind of just took it out completely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, but these kids, I mean, was this just, I don't know if this was just like, I know at the time was different, it's kind of like latchkey kids, but how does that make these young kids, like there's a girl who was arrested and she was like 13. She was just somebody in the neighborhood that would go there and sometimes either watch and occasionally participate. Like I think she burned her with cigarettes or something like that. I mean, what?
I know.
I don't get it. I don't get it. And then the whole thing, there were so many chances for her to be saved. The sister, for one. I mean, if I walked over to that house and she said, "No, your parents said they're not allowed to see you," I would have fought my way through.
Sure.
Or called the cops.
Even when the parents came, like, it's just so scary. Right. They almost have like a Stockholm syndrome type of thing going on, where they, like, they were so used to the torture and the abuse, and they just were afraid of making it worse by even saying anything.
Absolutely, Stockholm syndrome. Which that made me laugh, because I don't know if you've seen this. This is totally a different subject, but I don't know if you've seen this crazy thing on Facebook. I meant to send it to you. I'll send it to you later. There's like a missing woman and I guess a police department, I think this is in like Tennessee or something, a police department posted her picture on Facebook, and people were commenting, and her husband, who's like 22 years older than her, this girl's only like 24, her husband's like 22 or 25 years older than her, was commenting and basically like building himself an alibi within this thread. This was like
shit.
yesterday. Yeah, this was like yesterday. But I guess there was somebody in his family that was commenting too, and against him, by the way, not defending him. Like she was saying, he was a terrible person. I think he's a sex offender. But she said that she thinks that the wife had Stockholm syndrome, but she said she spelled it Stockholm syndrome.
Oh no.
And I felt so bad that I was cracking up.
Oh no.
I was like, oh, sweetie.
Oh, that reminds me of like those bone apple teeth memes.
Yes.
Oh no. Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm, and she spelled it STALK dash home.
Oh boy, she tried.
I mean, I don't mean to make fun of her, but I'm sorry. That's hilarious. Anyway, yes, I do think that they had at least a little bit of Stockholm syndrome, or they were just terrified.
Yeah.
But I mean, what could be so bad? Even if you are in front of their kids, like, Mom, Dad, get us out of here. They're beating the shit out of me. Right. And show them some bruises, show them some injuries, Yeah. How, it makes no sense. Even if you didn't have any injuries that could prove it. I mean, she did, though. Obviously, she had like over 150 wounds that were in varying degrees of healing.
Yeah. So, yeah. The pictures of her, you can see, like, literally there's cuts all over her body. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah. And I mean, it happened over a certain amount of time. So it's not like it was like, an isolated incident and then a bruise went away, Right. I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't get it, but I guess you really have to be in their position to know how they felt and why they didn't tell their parents.
Right. Or why nobody else helped.
Right. Again, though, they did tell the teacher. I mean, the sister, but then, the neighbor called the school anonymously, reported that there was a girl covered in sores all over her body. And then the nurse comes to investigate it, which, by the way, why would the nurse come to investigate that?
Right. Weird.
That's so strange.
Yeah.
And then just no more questioning. Okay.
Yeah, they just lie and cover it up, and no, she ran away.
And then the other neighbors that witnessed her being hit and have black eyes, and then the third neighbor that heard her screaming, but didn't do anything about it because they stopped at 3 a.m.
Yeah. Oh, she stopped screaming, so I guess whatever was making her scream is probably just not anymore.
Yeah.
Couldn't be because she's like half dead.
Yeah, right. It's not that. I have never realized how many cases there are where the bystander effect is.
Oh yeah.
Like, obviously Kitty Genovese is the most famous one. I think that's where the term was coined from that case. But there are so many where like someone witnesses something or someone hears something or hears something, just whatever, and nobody does anything. I don't know. Yeah. I'm sorry, but if I saw a girl covered in sores all over her body, I'm calling the cops. I'm not calling the school.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's also this phenomena called the diffusion of responsibility. And it's very similar to the bystander effect, but it's the mentality where, people think like, oh, well, somebody else will probably call about it.
That's part of the bystander effect.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing with the Kitty Genovese thing, is that everybody, well, first of all, I think they exaggerated how many people actually heard, because I think they said it was like 38 people heard her screaming or saw a commotion and didn't do anything. I don't think it was that much, but it was all that they all thought that somebody else is going to call the police.
Yep.
Which, I mean, I get that. Like, if there's something crazy going on, I mean, I would still call the police because that's just me.
Sure.
But I would think, like, I'm sure other people are calling the police too.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
So.
And that's how it happens. And everybody else has that. It's like a chain reaction. They're all like, oh, well, somebody else probably already called. Somebody definitely must have called.
Yeah.
I don't have to call.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, there wasn't 911 back then. I think maybe, was it after that case, I believe they started 911? It was just you called the police department, you know?
Right. Right.
So, I mean, that makes it a little different, I guess.
Sure.
There was no call waiting, that's for sure. I'm sure they didn't have a ton of operators either.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that is my case, and it is really terrible. And
yeah, so sad.
I know. And I just feel, God, people like this that do this type of thing, I think they should just I think they should be tortured for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, lung cancer couldn't have been an easy death.
For sure.
You know,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Good
and at 61, and the other kid at only 21.
21. Yeah. Good riddance.
Yeah,
Fucker.
Exactly. All right, guys. Well, as we always say, stay
Stay
safe.
safe. Wash your hands. Don't kill your family. And don't torture your neighbors. Thank you.
That's a good one.
Jeez.
Too. Yeah. Yeah. Don't pay 5 cents to watch other people torture your neighbors, and you torture your neighbor.
Yeah. Thanks.
That was our PSA. All right, guys. Yeah, we will see you very soon. And I guess this was not a 2-parter, but
that's okay. Okay. Yeah. Until next time.
All right. Bye, sinners.
Bye, sinners.